Jon Dorenbos here with us at Nationwide Marketing Group's PrimeTime event in Las Vegas. Former Philadelphia Eagle, current magician, and incredible speaker, I have to say. What's it like to be back in front of this audience of independent dealers? What's the vibe you get from them?
Anytime you're in front of independent dealers, family-owned businesses, entrepreneurs, there's just a spirit. It's unexplainable unless you live it, see it, feel it, hear it, and you're around it. The people are inspiring. The energy is inspiring. Their visions are inspiring. And most of these people, they do things differently. And that's what makes them cool and special and different.
Welcome into the Independent Thinking Podcast. This is your host, Rob Stott. If you're an avid listener of the podcast, you might remember that a couple episodes ago, at this point, I admittedly said that it was a peak episode and might retire from podcasting ever again because I thought I wasn't going to get any better. Well, I am glad to report that did not happen, and we kept going, because if I had, this episode would never have happened, and it's a really exciting one for a number of reasons. I mean, at the top of my list, obviously, being a Philadelphia resident, ergo a Philadelphia sports fanatic. Jon Dorenbos is a former Philadelphia Eagle, National Football League team here in the city of brotherly love, and recent keynote speaker at our PrimeTime event in Las Vegas, and delivered, I mean, when I say an exceptional keynote, we've had several, many exceptional keynotes over the years at our PrimeTime events, but this one, probably a little biased, but it's at the top of the list of those that I've attended and been able to witness, and not only because of his Philadelphia Eagle history, but also just because of the incredible story and message he delivers. If you don't know Jon from his time on the football field, 14 years in the NFL, 11 with the Eagles, you may know him from his run on America's Got Talent, doing a magic act that took him all the way to the finals of one of the seasons, couple of years, I think 2016 was the year he was on there, and ultimately made it into the top three before getting eliminated and losing to a 12-year-old, as he likes to say. But throughout, delivered an exceptional story and message about his life and how magic saved him, and so much more. And it was just awesome to see that delivered on the PrimeTime keynote stage at a time when it felt like independent retailers needed that message of positivity and resilience, and his determination to just see the good nature in people and life. So incredible opportunity for our members, but also, selfishly for me, after the keynote, being able to sit down with him and do this podcast and have a lot of fun with it, because it's incredible to see his down-to-earth nature and how real it actually is. So excited to be able to share it with you. So let's dive into it. This is Jon Dorenbos on the Independent Thinking Podcast. All right, we are back on the Independent Thinking Podcast, and it's cliche for me to say I've peaked in podcast form, but this is this might be, I'm living a dream in real life right now, so this is pretty fantastic. Jon Dorenbos here with us at Nationwide Marketing Group's PrimeTime event in Las Vegas, and just coming off of a keynote on stage in front of our members, a couple thousand of our closest friends, former Philadelphia Eagle, current magician, and incredible speaker, I have to say. Appreciate you joining us for the podcast. This is
rock on. Hey, let me tell you. So we met over a Zoom.
We did,
and I was genuinely excited to do this. So, first of all, you, everybody in that room, it's just great people. Great. It's amazing. You just want to be around good people, good energy, and usually good things happen. So, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we try to bring it, and you certainly did on that stage.
Well, plus we did have a deal. I was like, look, because he uses these for Zooms, this microphone. So his audio is it's not even comparable to everybody else on these calls, right? So I was like, look, I'll do your podcast, but whatever you're talking into right now, you got to bring too, because that is
gotta be done.
Crushing it.
Listen, you got to act the part. If you just act as if, and then someday it'll happen for me.
Look good, feel good, play good. Let's go.
Let's do it. All right. So this is actually not your first time in front of this group, in essence, right? You've done the FEI show few months ago, I want to say.
It was actually, I think it was a couple years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think
so it's been a bit. But
yeah.
So FEI and now Nationwide Marketing Group, what's it like to be back in front of this audience of independent dealers? What's the vibe you get from them?
Anytime you're in front of independent dealers, family-owned businesses, entrepreneurs, there's just a spirit.
Yeah.
That it's unexplainable unless you live it, see it, feel it, hear it, and you're around it. The people are inspiring. The energy is inspiring. Their visions are inspiring. And most of these people, they do things differently. And that's what makes them cool and special and different. So anytime you can get on a stage and hold a crowd and hold their attention, knowing that that's the group of people, and you can call them alphas, right? They're independent thinkers. They're independent go-getters. And if they don't show up, they don't eat. And so these are driven people. These are dedicated people, resilient people. And so when you can get in front of a group and inspire that group, it's a cool thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, for me, I look around the crowd and the game within the game.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if it's 500 people, 10,000. I look at phones.
Yeah.
And so as I'm talking and performing,
Who's on?
I don't want to see a phone.
Yeah. Yep.
The only phones I'll see are like a CEO or an event planner because there's just a lot going on.
Yeah.
Other than that, my goal is to keep every phone away.
Yeah.
And so it's cool when you can do that.
Looking around the room, I didn't see many today.
I didn't see many.
No, it was
pretty
good
cool.
stuff. You had it
Pretty
pretty
cool.
captivated. And there's a word you mentioned in there, resilient. I know it's a big theme we've talked about, at Nationwide Marketing Group over the last year. It's been a very challenging year economically from a retail perspective, or just in general, right? So the connection between your story and theirs, what they've gone through, it's one that I was really looking forward to seeing because I know part of it. I'm a Philly fanboy, right? Know everything about what's going on there, but to have that story be told to them, what's kind of for those that weren't here, that didn't experience it, how would you explain the connection between, your story and just the resilient nature of these dealers?
Yeah, so when people want me to speak and we have these calls, I'm very clear that I'm not an industry speaker. I'm not going to go up there and talk about the markets and the individual businesses that people have and how the market affects their business. I am a life person. I've been through a lot in my life. I think I've overcome some things, but more importantly, I'm happy. I'm the happiest dude I've ever met. And so for me, it doesn't matter what business you're in, is that if you're at peace within yourself, if you're at peace at home, if you can find happiness, if you can have moments in time, not define who you are, rather refine who you are. When bad things can happen, can you take those and find motivation in defeat? Can you choose to live in vision, not in circumstance? Can you choose to not make excuses? When you do all these things, that is a message of life. And to me, if you can take these things, like for me, come to terms with your reality, find forgiveness. And when that happens, a piece of your soul opens that you see hope and happiness.
Right.
And that's the direction you go. So when you can take all these things, that's going to hopefully impact your life, not just professionally, but personally.
How do you get there? Because that's an incredible, message that you delivered on that stage. It's not something that happens overnight, right? So talk about you personally, what do you do to keep that mindset or develop that mindset?
So it started when I was younger, and I walked into an unfortunate situation where I love both my parents. We lived in the Brady Bunch family, and my dad murdered my mom. Yeah. He went to prison. My sister and I went into temporary foster care for about 10 months, went through really intense therapy. And then my aunt, who was my mom's sister, ended up adopting my sister and I and got custody. The therapy for me changed my life. And I think what it did is it taught me, I wish I could remember what I said, but I remember a moment where my therapist said something and my answer was, I knew it was jacked up. I knew it was wrong. I knew it was spiteful. I knew it was just wrong. I forgot what I said, but I shouldn't have said it.
Right.
And I remember the moment I looked up and he didn't care. And he goes, "Good for you." And I was like, wait, what?
Right.
I thought I was going to get backhanded.
Right.
He goes, "If that's how you feel, good for you." He goes, "John, I'm not here to judge you. I don't care what your thoughts are. I just want to get you to understand them, to feel them, and then to express them and say them. Whatever it is, there's no wrong answer in this room." Mm-hmm. And I just was like, whoa. Wow.
Yeah.
It was like the aha moment, right?
Yeah.
I learned at a young age the power of manifestation. I'm a firm believer. I've manifested my life. I think if there's any regret I have, I didn't aim high enough because I got to where I wanted to get to. All up into the house I live in right now. Dude, when I was 13 years old, I moved in with my aunt, and they were like, "Hey, go down that street 30 minutes, you'll hit the beach." Well, that was like a 30-minute car ride. So I remember it was a weekend, Saturday. I get on my bike. I pedal 4 hours. I get down to Huntington Beach, California, cruising around, these gates open. And I was like, oh, what is this world? I went by this house for 20 years. And as I was older, I would sneak in, hop the fence, the gate would open, cruise in. As I got older, I would find my way. My wife and I live in that house.
That's incredible.
So if here's my advice. If you don't believe it and you don't think it, then why should the world? And I believe this
Very fair
too.
point.
If you give up on yourself, don't be shocked when the world gives up on you too.
Yeah.
Now, just because things aren't going your way, but if you show up, you believe in yourself, you believe in what you're doing, you can manifest it, you see it, and you're going somewhere, and you keep that attitude, the world is going to find a way to just keep you afloat.
It's incredible. Just speak it into existence.
It is.
Just make it happen. Right?
Intentional living. I believe it. So, it's the old quote of the person that said I can't, the person that said I can, they're both right.
Yeah.
So instead of getting down on yourself, instead of thinking negative thoughts and believing it, just try to constantly think of something else positive and just give it time and just do it for a period of time. And pretty soon, you believe it.
Is this something you continue to work on every day?
Oh, every day.
Yeah.
It's funny because when people train their dog, they're like, oh, I go out for an hour, I train my dog. No. It's a lifestyle.
Right.
Everywhere you go, you're placing them, you're sitting them. It's just a lifestyle. So I believe that the way I think and the way I act and the way I do things, it's not like you sit down and just, I'm going to,
Right.
for
It's
an
not
hour.
a 3-week training camp
No.
before the season, right?
No. It's a lifestyle. Yeah. It's a lifestyle of believing that happiness is not an emotion. Happiness is a decision.
No, that's
so make
incredible.
the decision.
Yeah.
Amazing quote. I was listening to a Robert Downey Jr. Oprah Winfrey, and it was going around social, and it was about when he got sober. And this is powerful. Oprah's like, was it hard? And he was like, no. She's like, stop. Like, was it hard to get sober? And he was like, no. Making the decision was the hard part.
Yeah. Coming to grips with it mentally.
Once I made the decision, it was easy. We have to get out of our own way sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're our own worst enemy. So make the decision, and the rest will follow.
Yeah. Your positive can-do attitude is like so infectious. I love it, first of all. What I also noticed watching you deliver the keynote is that anyone that doesn't know you from your football career, there's the America's Got Talent. It felt like a series of that connected into a 45-minute America's Got Talent, right? Presentation. Which was pretty cool.
Yeah. So so my three influences for my presentation were Carrot Top, Mike Tyson, Garth Brooks. So Carrot Top
runs the gamut.
It's it. Yeah. So if you've never seen Carrot Top,
Yeah.
his name's Scott. He's the nicest dude in the world. His show's phenomenal.
Yeah.
His use of little sound bites.
Yep.
To keep an audience, it's phenomenal. It's brilliant. So like if I am shuffling cards at a table, when I stand up, all of a sudden you hear, every day I'm shuffling. Brilliant. Mike Tyson, if you've never seen his one-man show, he's self-deprecating. He's funny. Mm-hmm. So Brad Pitt can't tell ugly jokes. It's not funny. Right? Like
no one's going to believe it. They know.
It's not funny. So know who you are, know your audience, and be self-deprecating. And then Garth Brooks, if you've never seen him live, you don't have to be a country fan. There's nowhere else he wants to be. He loves being in, he's there for you. Make the audience feel that way.
Yeah.
So it's my life story and the magic learned along the way.
I love too, you have a phenomenal sort of origin story with magic. So share that.
Well, so I got adopted by my Aunt Susan, and I moved down to Southern California. And I saw this kid do a trick, blew my mind. He bought me the trick. And then my aunt's friend, ex-boyfriend, was a magician and owned a magic shop. And so what happened was she called her friend and was like, you need to call Ken. And she's like, I'm not with Ken anymore. She's like, you need to call Ken. She's like, okay, I'll call Ken. So he kind of became a mentor. And then I saw this guy, Bill Malone, on TV, and he was shuffling cards, and he did a trick called Sam the Bellhop, where you take a deck of cards, shuffle, tell a story. But the idea of shuffling, that's kind of what took it to a different level for me.
Yeah.
And for me, it wasn't about being a magician, but I could sit at a table, I could shuffle cards, the sound of the riffle, the world quieted. And, it's funny. So if you're into music, your instrument never lies. And you're going to have this love affair with a guitar or a piano for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
If you shuffle cards, it's the same thing. And if I need to make a decision in life, I sit down, I shuffle. Could be 10 minutes, could be all night. But when I stand up, the cards didn't lie to me. Yeah. I know the decision that needs to be made. I know what I did right or wrong. And I know where I'm going. Yeah, that's cool.
It's the mindset thing. I think I get to coach wrestling, for a local high school, and we do a lot of mindset training. It sounds a lot like that. You think about the routines that someone goes through. First thing that pops in my head is a baseball player. You see, they don't have as much time these days with the pitch clock and everything, but the guys that would step out of the box, kind of reset themselves, check the gloves, adjust whatever they needed to adjust just to get themselves in that zone
again.
Get
in the zone, baby.
It's the same sort of practice for you.
Yeah. I love the idea. So that might be where I had success as a long snapper. I love the idea of doing something over and over and over in search of the perfect rep that you'll probably never hit. But the idea of just, I always say this, and I almost feel bad saying this, but like if I'm very thankful for our service members, the military, and the sacrifice they make. But if I had gone into the service, if there was a draft, or if my life went that direction, I think I probably would have gone to be a sniper, because that kind of just that anal retentiveness, if you will, just
Needing
sit there
perfect.
for 4 days until the perfect opportunity. I like that.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. I want to talk about the NFL career because it's one that, I have the chance right now. I'm able to do it. You're in front of a microphone with me, right?
Yep.
So, how does one become a long, like, did you know you were going to be a long
No.
snapper? Like,
No.
what's the origin story there?
So this is a great story. So I thought I was a great high school player. Okay, I snapped my senior year in high school. I long snapped because I was the only one that could do it, and I was good enough.
Yeah.
I then go to a junior. I didn't get any scholarships, so I go to a junior college that was 0-30. They'd lost 30 games in a row. So I went there. We lost another 10. 0-40. My best friend that I went to high school with was at University of Texas, El Paso, and they needed a long snapper. I hadn't done it in a while, so I took my highlights, and I took the highlights of our snapper in junior college, who was better then than I ever was, and I put those on my tape. And as long as we're all white guys,
That's great.
no HD,
Who's
one
gonna
camera, And here's the deal. It's my story. It happened. It is what it is. So I sent the film. They vetted it, and I knew I was good enough, but I definitely wasn't good. And so they offered me a full ride, and I was like, holy cow, we're doing this. And so I went there, and I snapped at UTEP for 3 years, and then I did 14 years in the league. And I will say this. I don't promote lying. Even though I fudged a little bit, I knew I could do
Was his
it.
number at least close to yours?
No, he was 88. I was 47. I was 6 foot. He's 6'6". Like,
They didn't look close enough to
no,
this tape, though.
I cut it as soon as he stood up. But I do think this. Don't lie.
Yeah.
But for me, it's believe in yourself more than anybody will ever believe in you.
Right.
And show up to show the world and the people around you that you do deserve to be there.
There's something to be said, too, about, an early career. It was a couple one-year stints, right, before you land with the Eagles and go on and have an 11-year career there. So the fighting, that's adversity, I have to imagine. A team that you get there for a year, you think you're solidified as a starter, and lo and behold, you're on to the next team.
Yeah, I mean, I learned in the NFL, it's every roster changes so much. I think as I progressed in the NFL, I really learned come to terms with why you were fired. Because sometimes it has nothing to do with how good you are.
Yeah.
It could be a salary cap issue. It could be we got a new head coach, and he was with a snapper for 10 years, and that snapper's up, and he's going to take him. Like, there's so many reasons that you could not be the right fit at the right time, that if you let that affect your confidence,
right,
then it's not a good thing. So but if you're not good, look in the mirror and say, you weren't good enough.
What do I got to do to be better?
And get better.
Yep, exactly.
Right? So just be truthful with why yourself. Understand that there's reasons why you can get fired or cut that have nothing to do with your production. Just move on. And the other thing, this was a valuable lesson for me. I actually don't want to be anywhere that I'm not wanted. I don't care who you are.
Right.
I don't care what the situation is. I don't care who you think you are. Mm-hmm. I'm good. I don't need to beg anybody to ever hang out with me. I'd rather either go because being alone ain't being lonely. Two different things.
Yeah.
And I'll go find a group of people that want to hang with me. So
what worked in Philly? What do you think made it a situation that resulted in an 11-year career?
Great story. So I'm on the street, which means I didn't have a job. Mm-hmm. Mike Bartram had a career-ending neck injury.
Yep.
So Bob Stoll was the athletic director at UTEP. He gave Andy Reid his first coaching job at UTEP.
Wow. Yeah.
I went to UTEP.
Yeah.
That was my athletic director. He called Andy Reid and says, Andy, you're not going to believe this, but we got a guy that, he has a few years in the league, but your locker room will love him.
Did he send the same tape you sent him?
Yeah, right. But this gets good. So now Philly calls. Andy calls me. I walk out to work out for the team.
Yeah.
And there's a guy named Adam Johnson, it was at University of Buffalo. I was with the Bills, and I would go work and help Adam.
Okay.
As a snapper.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at him going, I can't lose to, like,
this guy.
What is it, a protege? Like, I can't lose to my apprentice.
Yeah.
This doesn't work, right? Shoot.
No.
So long story short, we work out. John Kondo was there. He ended up playing like 14 years for the Raiders. And as I walked off the field, I didn't know if I got the job or not. Andy Reid came out, and he said, Bob Stoll said, you're my guy.
It's incredible.
And he just looked at me, and he goes, welcome to the team. And I was like,
holy crap.
He goes, you want to work out? Work out. You want to run? Run. If you don't. But if it's not there on Sunday, you're fired. And I was
incredible.
Like, I'm in. He goes, follow me. So we go in, and I'll never forget this. We had a defensive coordinator named Jim Johnson.
Yep.
Legendary.
Yeah.
Legendary. And he was kind of like that, just tough but kind-hearted. Loved, just everybody respected and loved him. Here's what happens. He's sitting at the table. So Andy looks at me and says, Bob Stoll said you're the magic guy and you could steal watches. He goes, you steal that watch right there, you're going to have a good career here. And he was pointing to Jim Johnson.
Yeah.
So I walk over to Jim. Jim, hey, what's going on? I do the pat, take the watch, hand it to Andy. Jim has no idea. And Andy just looked at me and goes, you're hired, kid.
That's incredible.
You are hired.
That's done.
And so we gave him the whole cafeteria. Everybody's there. They're like, oh, my gosh. And then word spread, right? Dorenbos just took Jim Johnson's watch. But that was like one of my first interactions. I think I made it in Philly, and I believe this. I wasn't the best. I wasn't the fastest. I wasn't the strongest. But I truly believe in this little phrase I came up with. It's be the one that's always invited. So even when you're not invited and you show up, you're still invited.
Yeah.
So for me, what that meant is you got to be an energy and you got to be a person that the people around you want to see you succeed, because you ain't going to do it by yourself.
Right. And
so when I was off a little bit, or if I missed a little bit, they made excuses for me. And then we found out how to get better.
Yeah.
But, I think Andy saw me and said, hey, look, I know the range of how good and how bad.
Right.
We're going to execute in that range. He'll never go outside that range. And I want to see this kid succeed.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And it made an incredible impression on the, city, fan base, NFL.
It's great.
Right?
Even when we signed Michael Vick. And
Yeah.
Andy's like, his locker's next to you for a few. So I was like, dude, let's go. So
It's incredible.
I was a locker room guy
Yeah.
for sure.
Culture hire.
Yeah,
if you
man.
will.
Hey, you know what? And I'll take it. Hey, whatever.
It's awesome. Yeah, whatever keeps
So
you there.
here's another secret.
Yeah.
This was another secret. I remember I'm a long snapper. League minimums go up, salaries go up. So eventually you get outpriced, right? And so 3 years, 2 games, I think, is the average, because at 3 years, 3 games, the pension kicks in. So they cut you right before they got to pay your pension. So I remember going, okay, I make money for the team here as a snapper, but over here, there's all these advertisers and there's all these donors. And it's okay, how can I contribute here? So I would go into that office and say, hey, look, all the events from our sponsors, I want to MC them, perform at them, like I'll do anything. So I made such a name that companies would call and request that Dorenbos hire. Well, all of a sudden, when everybody's sitting down, they're like, okay, he's making this over here. We could get a snapper cheaper, but we're
stuff.
making hundreds of millions over here. And he's a big force. He's helping.
ROI just made sense.
So now, whether that's the truth or not, that's what I tell myself.
Yeah.
Right. But I learned that the more you can do and the more you can be wanted in different areas and needed and fix problems in different areas, then probably the longer you're going to stick around.
A message I think all of our dealers can resonate with, the many hats that they wear on a daily basis as independent business owners. But I'd be remiss too. One more question for you. The team this year. What do you look at the Eagles roster? I don't care if you're a Dallas fan watching. We got to ask it because I'm sitting here. What's 24 look like for those birds?
I think I'm super excited about Trotter.
Yeah.
Like beyond.
Young Trotter. I got to watch him at St. Joe's Prep.
He's a beast.
Yeah.
I got to play with his dad.
Yeah,
Axeman.
you did.
I don't know if people know this. It's out there, but Jeremiah Trotter Sr. Was a teammate of mine, and his wife passed away like a year or two ago.
Yeah.
And so, to see Junior come up.
His other kids too, right behind
all
him.
of them.
Yeah.
They're all
Josiah,
studs.
Yeah,
They're all
it's
studs.
incredible.
And now he's wearing his dad's number.
I know.
Trotter back in the middle. Like even it's just full circle, man. So
feels right.
Yeah. So I think the additions that they added with Saquon Barkley, I think you added some big strengths on the defensive side. And look, no matter what, every year your quarterback is going to get better. Your core positions, your tight ends, your receivers, everybody's going to grow and get better. And if you can keep that core together for a couple years,
right,
the difference in 1 year is insane. So I'm excited. I love Jalen. I'm a big fan, so I'm excited to see him come out this year.
Yep, healthy too.
Healthy.
Hopefully, he definitely. They never talked about it, but something was off last year.
Well, yeah, I think this is something that the fans don't see. I don't think anybody is ever healthy.
It's fair.
Like
ever. That is a fair point.
And some people are like, they don't even know the injuries that people play through.
Yeah.
Like I remember John Runyon, legendary in the Eagles world. Dude, he played with like a half-inch gap in a broken tailbone.
Oh,
man.
Like,
think about.
Yeah, that's not small.
He couldn't sit.
No.
So we played San Fran. He stood up the whole way there, the whole way back. The dude didn't take a rep out of practice. I'm going to tell you guys right now, okay? I love football. I love playing. I love being a part of it. If I got a half-inch gap in my tailbone, I'm going to shut it down on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I'm just
show up Sunday, do the thing.
Runyon every rep in practice he took. So I remember going up to him. I'm like, yo, dude, how are you doing this? And John Runyon looked at me and said, it's easy. Just don't fall. Like that was his mentality.
Don't get knocked back.
Don't fall.
Yeah, that's
Drink
incredible.
a beer, punch him in the face, and let's go. I'm like, holy. So, I don't think anybody's really healthy, but, coaches are great. A guy that I played college ball with is now a coach there, which was kind of cool. So I was with the team like last week. I'm a Sirianni fan. So I think everybody was hoping Kelsey would come back just because,
just one more.
It's probably smart he doesn't. Right now he's transitioning and just crushing.
New heights is it?
Every aspect
someday this will
of
be
life.
new heights. But
You know what I mean? Yeah,
they're too good.
He is an amazingly wonderful human being.
Yeah.
One of my favorite people I've ever met. So
That's
I'm
awesome.
excited for the team.
Cool. Well, thank you for humoring me with that, and thank you for again stepping in and sitting down with us. This was a lot of fun. It was great to have you here. Great to have you on the podcast. And you got it? You gonna pull it in?
We're gonna have to end it the same way we started it. There you go.
Aw.
There you go, my friend.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here, and look forward to getting this published, man. This was a lot of fun.
Keep changing the world.
Awesome, and thank you again to John. Just a really cool, the Eagles fan in me would never believe that was a possibility, to be able to sit down with a player and talk not just Philly sports. I'm glad we were able to do that. I wouldn't let it happen otherwise. But to be able to sit down and talk shop and about the independent retail channel and relate it to things we cover on a normal basis here on this podcast, and appreciate him taking that time, again, sharing his message. It's a crazy one, an inspiring one, and somehow he turns all of those valleys in life into these awesome peaks that he's able to just put a positive spin on. So appreciate John sharing all that, and delivering, like I said at the top, one of the best keynotes I've ever seen here at Nationwide Marketing Group. But appreciate him again, and as always, appreciate you listening to the Independent Thinking Podcast, and we'll catch you next time.